All right, Tucker, and thank you. There's your president. Welcome to Hannity. All right, tonight the people of Wyoming, they have spoken, and after losing by nearly 40 points to Harriet Hageman in last night's primary, Liz Cheney's days in Congress now are officially numbered. Liz sadly could not see the forest through the trees. She allowed her hatred for Donald Trump and Trump supporters to consume her. This became Cheney's singular focus in life. There was no bridge she wouldn't burn, no colleague she wouldn't betray, no voters that she wouldn't ignore. She put her own agenda and her self-righteous obsession above the people that she was elected to serve. The people that are elected are public servants. In many ways, she showed utter contempt for the people in her own state, and they didn't like it one bit. And oddly, this led Congresswoman Cheney to align with the very same Democrats, and I find this the oddest thing of all, who called her own father a war criminal. Look at what they did to Scooter Libby, his chief of staff. They called her father a murderer, a crook for working on Halliburton. The very same people that smeared her family for decades. And then there were people like myself who defended her father, and people like Scooter Libby. You know, we're now just dismissed as unethical without any principle, values whatsoever. She would clearly rather have Joe Biden and the Democrats in charge of the country with all of their destructive policies. It's more dangerous than ever instead of Donald Trump. The people of Wyoming disagree with her, and the numbers, they speak for themselves. The people have spoken. Now, Liz Cheney has pledged to continue her anti-Trump crusade, probably serving as a token anti-Trump Republican on, fake news, CNN or MSDNC. Now, Harriet Hageman, meanwhile, will serve the people of Wyoming on Capitol Hill. And that brings us to tonight's top story. We are now tonight 83 days away from the midterm elections that will be held on Tuesday, November the 8th. And according to brand new poll numbers by Reuters, 70% of you, the American people, believe that our country is on the wrong track. We are. Democrats have controlled the Senate, the House, and the White House for 2 long years, and it has been a disaster. Make no mistake, there is only one way to begin the process of turning this around for all of us. The GOP's got to win control of both the House and the Senate. In the House, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, he's been on this program. He has outlined a plan, a new nationwide contract with America and the American people. He's calling it the Commitment to America. Every Republican running will sign it that is in the House. All Democrats incessantly are pushing a far-left, far-reaching, radical socialist, quote, transition, their favorite word. House Republicans will run on a few key principles designed to improve the lives of every American. That includes a much stronger economy with less government bureaucracy. That means lower taxes on individuals and businesses alike. The GOP is also committed to an actual plan to reduce this 41-year high of inflation by unleashing American energy. It's great for national security reasons. It's great to get rid of inflation and lower that. Record high energy prices, it will reduce that. And that means the cost of every item you buy at every store you go to will be cheaper. How great would that be? Job creation, high-paying career jobs in the energy sector. This is essential to save this country. On the other side, Democrats, including Joe and Kamala, well, they're just pretending like inflation no longer exists. Huh? Take a look.
The president and my vision for the future also means lowering costs for Americans. Today we learned that last month our economy had 0% inflation.
I just want to say a number. 0. Today we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%.
Now, they said this right after the report came out, showed inflation at a whopping 8.5%, another 4-decade high. Under the Republican plan, we could begin the process to bring these numbers down. Remember, when Joe came into office, the consumer price index was only 1.4%. We can do it by increasing energy production, becoming energy dominant even. Remember, we were a net exporter of energy under Donald Trump, and we achieved energy independence for the first time in 75 years. Keep in mind, America could produce enough cheap, clean-burning natural gas to supply not just the United States, but every one of our allies in Western Europe, so they won't have to count on Vladimir Putin for the lifeblood of their economy. Now, of course, your safety and security, that's also a key part of the commitment to America. Now, that means securing our southern border, stopping the spread of fentanyl and heroin flooding into this country, locking up violent criminals, getting rid of these no bail laws and defunding and dismantling police departments, and no more lax prosecutions. Cities and states have got to be held accountable for letting these criminals back out on the street. We need safe towns, safe cities all across America. And don't forget your kids, they've got to be protected. And that means you need, as a parent, parental rights in your child's education. And you ought not worry about being investigated as a domestic terrorist if you go to a school board meeting and speak out on behalf of age-appropriate materials being taught your kids. And by the way, those schools ought to be teaching reading, writing, math, science, history, computers, not critical race theory or radical gender theory. Let the parents teach that at home, or if you want an opt-in program after school, have at it. Finally, the GOP will hold the federal government accountable with oversight on the Biden White House, the DOJ, the upper echelon of the FBI, including an important focus on preserving your liberty, your freedom, and your constitutional rights. This is a simple and effective message that will resonate with the American people in 84 days in every state. Unfortunately, in the Senate, I have no reason why this mysterious reluctance, resistance of Mitch McConnell, he doesn't seem too interested in making commitments to the American people. I guess, he'd rather what, leave Senate candidates out to dry, to fend for themselves in states where Democrats are attempting to win by isolating Republican candidates, smearing individual candidates in order to distract voters from the Democratic Party's many failures. Look, if Joe Manchin taught us one thing, it's simply this. At the end of the day, the Democrats always vote with one voice. And with each passing day, that voice is more and more like the devout socialist Bernie Sanders. This is now Bernie's party. They worship at the altar of climate alarmism and climate change. It's a cult. Just last week, in order to fund a green energy slush fund, every single Democrat in the Senate voted for a bill that increases your taxes on your electric bills, increases your taxes on gas, increases your taxes on every barrel of oil either we produce domestically or import into this country. It also increases taxes on small businesses. It increases taxes on Americans making as little as $30,000 a year, and it funds 87,000 new IRS agents to go out, collect, and audit you, the American people. If you make $25,000 or less, according to Syracuse University, you are 5 times more likely to get audited. They rammed this bill through under a process known as reconciliation, the same way they passed Obamacare. And that only requires a 50-vote majority. They don't need cloture, and they'll do it again next year if given the chance. Now, you have Warnock in Georgia, you have Val Demings in Florida, you have the socialist John Fetterman of Bernie #2 in Pennsylvania, and every other Democrat running for the Senate support this radical climate alarmist agenda, New Green Deal socialism. They're all on a radical green energy socialist transition plan, as they like to call it. So let's be clear. This is not a guaranteed wave election. Anyone that says Republicans have a lock on the House and the Senate, they're lying to you. They don't know. The races can be extremely competitive in every bellwether state. This is really for the country an all-hands-on-deck situation. This is an inflection point for the country. If your preferred candidate, by the way, didn't win the primary, I'm sorry that they didn't win. Too bad. But if you don't support the Republican in the race, you're going to get the government you deserve, and that government will be run by far-left climate alarmists. They'll be the ones stacking the Supreme Court, ending the legislative filibuster, going forward with D.C. statehood and every other power grab you can think of. They'll be hell-bent on pushing this agenda down your throat. Here with more on